I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, June the 26th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is proven efficacy at an affordable upfront price. Without the BS, end of story. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, they just continue to have huge runs of cattle. Last week they had a big run on their Monday regular sale, had another 6,000 head for the weaned back value added special. They have big cow sales on Wednesday every week. This Monday, here today, they'll start selling at 5 o'clock in the morning. It won't be long before they'll be on big strings, guys. They have got a huge yearling special, expecting at least 11,000 head of cattle, and mostly all big strings of yearlings. If you guys need some yearlings, get in there, get your call in to your favorite order buyer, Joplin. Get on dvauction.com, view and bid the yearling special at Joplin Regional Stockyards, starting here today, early in the morning on Monday. Bad optics, and last week was just a weird week with a lot of bearish type things out there. But over the weekend, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the report, we were still selling cattle as high as we've ever sold them. But the cattle on feed report that come out on Friday shows to be bearish. But it's just optics. There's not really enough numbers there to really matter one way or the other. I'll give you a little bit of rundown on the cattle on feed report. The on feed numbers that come out for June the 1st ended up being 97.1% of a year ago. The average of the analyst guess was 96.8, so very close right there. And then you think, well, how in the world could it be bearish looking? Like I'm talking about your optics. Your placements for May come in at 104.6. Now, all your stores you're going to see is 105 because they rounded them, but it was 104.6 with the average of the analyst guess at 102.2. But we're not talking about very many cattle there, guys. It was only 86,000 more placed cattle that they saw in May this year than they did a year ago. In the whole scheme of things, of 11.6 million cattle on feed, that's not a big deal. But, it just appears that way on your percentages. Of course, that's the way we look at it. But, this time of the year, it's not a lot of cattle. And I'm not sure if it's right anyway. Of course, I've worked with the government long enough. Whatever they put out is official. But I don't know if it's right or not. But marketings may come out at 101.7. The average of the analyst guess is 101.6. So very close there. But like I said, I don't think it's really a big deal. Like I said, 86,000 head more placed according to their figures. We got about 350,000 more than the last cattle on feed report. So I don't know. It's just kind of a weird deal there. Iowa was the only 5-area feeding region that had more cattle on feed this year than a year ago. So it's not making a whole lot of difference right where it matters. Your big increases were seen in Idaho, South Dakota, and Washington. You look at your other 4 of the 5 areas there, and you showed their percentage of cattle on feed. And Colorado had 92% of a year ago, Kansas 99% of a year ago, Nebraska 97% of a year ago, and Texas only 96% of a year ago on feed. So, just look at it the way you want to. But the reason that I question that, and I hate to question it, and it doesn't do any good to question the report, just like fighting City Hall, because everybody's gonna look at it and call it gospel. But there's a lot more places to put cattle this summer, this year, other than in the feedlot than there was a year ago. So how could the placements be that much bigger? I know that our auction receipts have been a big increased a lot since the same time a year ago. That's because the market's been so good. People are just bringing them to the sales earlier. And then they don't have to keep them very long, and then they're going to make a lot of money, so they sell them. We're just selling to each other, guys. And we know that there's fewer cattle out there. How those placements can be bigger, even though the number's not that big, I just kind of doubt it a little bit. But talk about a sale that I saw last week that deserves some attention. One of the first of the big videos that we have this time of year. Of course, we had the Corn Belt Classic with Superior there a week or two ago. Northern Livestock Video out of Billings, Montana. They have big videos there, guys. And they had one on Thursday, and it was their early summer special there. And one thing that I noticed that I thought was interesting was your October delivery. The Northern Plains there, up there where they offer most of the cattle, be a lot of Wyoming and Montana cattle, but the October delivery of your 5-weight ballin steers, those steers averaged $2.99. Selling those ballin there for October delivery. Your 6-weight ballin steers, steer calves, averaged $2.66. Pretty waspy there. And then, of course, every big video's got a crazy quote, and I got to give you the crazy quote out of Northern Livestock Video. It was the Galt Ranch, 150 miles or so northwest of Billings, Montana there. They sold 150 head of half-blood Wagyu and other half Angus. Reputation deal there. I mean, they'd be right. You look at them there. And the Wagyu never impress you on the hoof. You have to get them fed and see the ribeyes to really be impressed there. But the steers and heifers to bring the same price, and 750 pounds for a late August delivery there. 150 head of them at 750 at $326. Wow. I mean, you'd have to have everything lined up right to get all those premiums there, but they do say that those Wagyu premiums are big if you get into the right system there. But let's talk about your board for last week. June live cattle futures. Of course, Monday was Juneteenth. We couldn't have futures on Juneteenth. You guys crazy? How about Tuesday? June live cattle were down $1.22. Wednesday was up 12 cents. Thursday was up 40 cents. Friday down 15 cents. June live cattle futures ended the week down 85 cents for the week, closing at 177.50. August ended the week 170.77, down 95 cents. Now your feeder cattle futures, that was another bad optic for last week. And your grain futures were another bad optic. I mean, they absolutely cratered middle of the week, which seemed early in the week because we didn't have Monday futures, and then regained a huge portion of that, leaving everybody just kind of wondering what the heck happened. But August feeder cattle, of course, Monday was a holiday. Tuesday, down 277. You're thinking, my gosh, to start the week on your futures, August feeder cattle were down 277. Wednesday, down 442. But then Thursday, come right back up 295, and Friday up 327. Your traders had a good time with that. Algorithms had a good time with that. The industry, not so much. August feeder cattle ended the week at 233.95, down 97 cents for the week, which is not a big deal. Still trading at a big premium, a $10 premium and more to what our cash index levels are right now, and it doesn't seem that far to August. September ended the week at 237.70, down 47 cents for the week. And your grains were just as volatile as your feeder cattle. December corn ended the week at 5.88 a bushel, down 9.5 cents, but it was up and then right back down. Just very, very volatile. And of course, it's a weather market. We have seen some moisture in that critical central and eastern corn belt, but it's been extremely spotty. I mean, 2.5 inches one place, you go over the hill, nothing. Seeing a lot of that. Everybody I'm talking to out there, they're either in the haves or the have-nots. But those people that are not getting any rain, I've been told a million times, they are either dancing or fornicating in the daylight hours. You got to stop doing that. It's never going to rain again if you guys keep doing that. How about November new crop beans? $13.10 a bushel, down 32.25 cents a bushel for the week. Kansas City hard red winter wheat, September ended the week at $8.61 3/4. That was actually up 22.75 cents a bushel right during harvest. Talk about your fat cattle trade. Through Thursday of last week, 63,200 head. Pretty decent movement after we knew your packers were extremely short bought. But then when the futures cratered like that earlier on in the week, it took the rug out, and that's why I try to get people not to look at the futures so much as the market, just as an indicator that doesn't ever ring true. But you look at your prices and your fats up through Thursday of last week in your 5-area feeding region, 176 to 187.50. That was a $0.50 to $5 lower. Weighted average on live steers 182.67. Weighted average was down 4.11 up through Thursday. Your dress sales range from 280 to 292, $7 to $8 lower. Weighted average on dress steers 289.85, $6.23 lower. Gave up all that market position for basically no reason. But Friday we did have a little bit of trading. Iowa sold 400 head on Friday, 26,700 head for the week. My gosh, they're cleaning Iowa up, negotiated. But live sales on Friday in Iowa from 182 to 186. That's a far cry from what we're used to them getting up there here this spring. Nebraska 400 head on Friday, 14,800 head for the week. Only price we saw on Friday was 182 live in Nebraska. Your Kansas sales only 200 head on Friday, 16,900 head for the week. Market was same on Friday on the few sales they had, which was $1.80. Southern Plains was $2 lower live. Northern Plains was $2 to $3 lower live, and $7 to $8 lower dressed. Texas sold a couple of hundred on Friday, only 6,000 for the week. The only thing they quoted on Friday was some cattle off the market, some plainer type cattle at 174. Box beef cutout values lower for the week, and we talked about that last visit before the end of the week there. They've been higher all spring and then all of a sudden come off lower. But your weighted average on all your choice cut sales last week was 335.96, down 397 compared to your weighted average from the previous week. And your late Friday sales were $2 lower than that at 334 even. Your weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales 305.34, down 456 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. And your late Friday sales on selects were down more than $5 from your weighted average, under $300 at $299.96. So big adjustment there. Choice select spread on the bulk of last week's sales was almost $31. You're seeing that here in your summer grilling holiday time, $30.62. All that information, which is not a whole lot of box beef cutout information, based on 538 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Talk about your slaughter. Your slaughter, I believe, was underestimated. Now, they estimated your slaughter last week at 649,000, but they didn't have hardly any Saturday kills. I talked to truck drivers. They were delivering cattle to major packing plants in the Texas Panhandle for slaughter on Saturday. So I believe they're going to have to adjust that up a little bit, but 649,000 would have still been 15,000 more than the previous week, 16,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Everag. If you notice the volatility on feeder cattle futures and grain futures here this past week, you know you have to manage your risk. Navigate risk management with Everag. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction, based on the average of a 700 to 899 pound steer, right in there, averaging about 800 pounds. Auction cash steer up through the middle 12 states, just like the CME cash feeder cattle index. It ended the week at 223.21, 1 penny per 100 pounds higher than the previous end of the previous week. That's unbelievable, especially when you got to figure almost $225 for it not to change any more than that. It did change a little bit through the week, but ended the week exactly steady with what it was. And when you look at your trends in your big feeder cattle auctions last week, most all the trends included the word steady. Whether it was steady to firm or steady to a buck or two higher, or maybe steady to a buck or two lower. But steady was included in most all your feeder cattle trends last week. And then we would see some cattle with the condition to really gain, maybe sell a little bit higher than steady. But the bulk of the cattle sold exactly steady last week. Excuse me, give me some stick out deals. How about Lexington Livestock Market in Lexington, Nebraska? About 2,200 head there for their sale, and it was all big yearling steers for the most part. They had near 1,350 9-weight steers. Unbelievable. They averaged 930 pounds with a weighted average price of $225.42. Very respectable there in Lexington, Nebraska. Big stick out sale. Your National Beef Wire stick out sale of the day for late last week or over the weekend was a big Saturday special at Turlock Livestock Auction Yard. That's Max Oliveira. I know Max, he's a really, really good guy. Had over 4,000 head for the last feeder cattle showcase sale of the year, but my goodness. And it's unbelievable in Central California, and they do get news out there. They knew about the board, they knew about the cattle and feed report, didn't really care. You look at this market report out of there at Turlock, California, and you look at your best tested weights. There's 694 head of 6-weight steers, average 641, weighted average price $269.28. 1,052 7-weight steers in Turlock, California, average 730 pounds, weighted average price $248.27. 426 head of 8-weight steers had a weighted average of weight of 848 with a weighted average price of $211.46, and you think that's off a little bit? Well, it included at least one load of Holstein steers that I saw, or dairy type steers. 71 head of them weighed 880 at 186, so that pulled that down quite a bit. Can't help you with how that would be without it. But 356 head of heifers weighed in the 5s. They averaged 565 pounds with a weighted average price of $266.90. 521 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 652 at $242.21. And 334 head of 7-weight heifers, Turlock, California, Turlock Livestock Auction Yard. They averaged 721 with a weighted average price of $221.47. Several stick out deals. And the first stick out I'm going to give you some Turlock too. Just unbelievable market there at Turlock, California. 160 steer calves weighed 610 pounds at $290. How you like that? How about Bloomington Livestock Exchange in Bloomington, Wisconsin? 68 steers weighed 885 at $239.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, your Macrison, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska. I have to say that I got to spend some time with Rich and Alicia Robertson when I was down in Florida the other week at the LMA convention, and we did have a ball. I tell you what, nicer people you'd never meet anywhere in your life, and I could see why Crawford gets a good number of customers there, but it's also the market that brings them in there. How about the Selman Ranch steers sold on Friday there? 66 steers weighed 844 and bring 247 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.